Welcome to Black Dad Unfiltered. I'm Carlos V. Spencer here with another episode. This one goes out to our mothers on Mother's Day or Mother's Day that has just passed. So Black Dad Unfiltered, we are notorious, I guess that's the right word I'll use, for saying that if you are a black dad, it means that you've been a black son. Right. And on our platform, usually when we talk about that or make that statement, you've always had to be a son before you've been a father to somebody. And being a black son comes with having a mother. Right. So Black Dad Unfiltered, we know this is our platform. We know this is what we talk about. We're always stressing and always speaking well about fathers. We want to shine a light on black fathers and what they do. And we want to shine a light on black men who are out there doing great things with their children, because we know society doesn't show that and highlight that enough. But this statement I often say, for me, does not mean against you. For me does not mean against you. What I mean by that is just because I plant my flag and I stand up for something for myself, that doesn't mean that I am against somebody else. So we hope that this hasn't been the case, but we want to say it specifically while giving shout outs to mothers, that speaking well of black fathers does not mean that we are against mothers. It does not mean that we don't believe in mothers. It does not mean that we don't believe in black women and black mothers and the things that they have done, the things that they do. I was raised for the majority of my life by a single black woman. My parents separated when I was a young child. My father was in my life. Fortunately, a lot of fathers are not. A lot of black fathers are not, even though they didn't live in the same household together, and I didn't live in the same household with my father after some age. I grew up some years with my father being at home, but after they separated, I grew up with my mom. My mom raised 4 black men in the inner city, and all 4 of us are successful. There are people who come to my mother all the time, Wanda Spencer, and I'm speaking specifically of my mother, but I'm speaking to all the mothers. They come to my mother all the time and they ask her things like, how did you do this? Like, Wanda, what did you do to produce these boys? What did you do to get these boys to become the men that they are? So what we are and what we become has a lot to do with our mother. So we want to shout out our mother, my mother, and we want to shout out the mothers for this Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for what you put into us. Thank you for raising us. Thank you for those who are in a home with a mother and a father, and you're doing so much for your children. Thank you for the sacrifice and the things that you have given up for the benefit of your children. And for a lot of mothers whose children are still young, maybe you are not getting that thank you from your children because they just don't know yet, or maybe they're just not of age yet to recognize it or to even be able to say thank you. And even when children begin to grow up, we don't recognize it until we get into sometimes our adult years. So we on this platform of Black Dad Unfiltered, we want to say thank you to all the mothers for what you do from Black Dad Unfiltered. And again, for me is not against you. For me is not against you. What I mean by that is just because I'm pro something doesn't mean that I'm against something. Is that the case? Sometimes, yes, it is. But not on our platform. We just want to speak well about black fathers. So what does that mean? I like to give this example. If somebody's at a parade or they're walking for cancer, right? Maybe to cure cancer or cancer awareness or the awareness to help raise money or funds to help to attack this, to help to bring up cures, to bring up money, whatever the case may be. Let's say that there's a walk for cancer. You wouldn't typically see somebody come to that walk / parade and say, you guys are not talking about AIDS. Well, what about AIDS? With a sign like, well, we want to cure this. Why are you No, for me is not against you, right? They're walking for a specific thing. Does not mean they're against something else, But sometimes you need to bring awareness to that thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. If a fire truck came down the street and they're driving down the street and they're looking for this fire and they're like, where's the fire? And you're like, I don't know. Then the fire truck doesn't know which fire to treat. But if you say the fire is at that specific house, the fire truck goes to that specific house to put the fire out. For me is not against you. We're speaking up in a specificity of Black fatherhood. And that is where we've seen danger and where we've seen some negativity in our society. So we speak up against it. But for me, is not against you. So we want to shout out our mothers on this episode. We want to say thank you to our mothers in this episode. We want to say we appreciate you on this episode. We want to say that even in past episodes, when you've seen us speak on just candid conversations about men and about women, and a lot of times we're highlighting the conversation about the men and we're really bringing up the conversation of the man's side. But again, it's because that side is not spoken well of or not spoken up enough. But it doesn't mean that we're against our moms. We love our mothers. We love the women in our lives. We appreciate my grandmother and my mother, two of the greatest women I've ever known. And they had a lot to do with helping us. Women have a lot to do with the fabric of this society. Like, where would we be without you? Where would we be without mothers specifically? Just think about it. Let's think about it. All right, let's get real. Just think about it. Any person that you have ever seen in this entire world that has done anything great, grand, or on any scale was birthed by a mother. That's good. Was birthed by a mother. So I'll go on to say on our platform that any great thing that has ever been done in this world has been done because of a mother. Do you see that? You can attribute it back to a mother. I'm going to make an example. It's going to sound a little off, but I'm going to bring the point back. I'm going to bring it all back to my point. Fruits of the poisonous tree. I was a police officer for some years. And if you have a case, and in that case, if it gets to court or if it gets to some point where they're trying to prove whatever happened, let's say it was a criminal activity and they're trying to prove that it happened, because you have to go through the court system to have enough evidence to prove this thing, to make sure that there's a conviction that takes place. Fruits of the poisonous tree means you can trace whatever you're doing back to the origin of where it came from and where it started from. And unfortunately, if it started from a wrong place, so let's say that somebody did something illegal or outside the confines of law to find the root of what's going on, fruits of the poisonous tree will throw the entire thing out, because it will say where you started did not start right. So you cannot stand on what you're standing on because of where it came from. I'm bringing this back to mothers, right? In a positive way. Everything that we've done, that we've seen, that's happened, has all come from the fruit of a great tree. And that fruit is mothers. That fruit is motherhood. And we want to appreciate you, mothers. Even my mother would always say, you only get one. And she said just like that. You only get one mother. You do, right? And you know what she would say sometimes following up? She would say it in a completely joking manner. She would say, I could have flushed you down the toilet. And I'd be like, Ma, what you mean? That same face or expression or what you just felt right there, that's what I felt. But she was completely joking and having a good time and laughing with us and just showing us the importance of a mother. But even within that joke, even within that smile and that laughter, what she was saying without having to say it is, I held the responsibility of your life in my hands. I had the responsibility of your life before you knew it or before you could do anything with it. Mothers nurture, mothers take care of, mothers raise, mothers help us way before we can even help ourselves. We are literally helpless as children, as babies, as infants. And mothers step in to help us while we're helpless. And mothers do it, and they do it in a thankless fashion, because mothers do this without getting a pat on the back, without getting a thank you, without getting a card or flowers. Now, we do those things for our mothers, and it's really good to do those things, and you should. But there are mothers who are doing these things before they ever receive any of those things. And there are mothers who are doing these things and have done these things and still never received anything. Mothers, you are truly superheroes. Myself, Carlos V. Spencer, and of course, Coach Rod from Black Dad Unfiltered for this entire episode snippet. We just wanted to say thank you to our mothers. We appreciate what you're doing. And if you're watching this, just shout out your mother in the comments. If you're watching this, share this with a mother. Share this with a woman. Share this with somebody in your life. Share this with someone maybe who hasn't been thanked. Share this with a new mother, right? Share this with someone who hasn't received any thank yous, maybe as of yet. And again, shout them out in the comments to us so we can see all the mothers who are out there doing a wonderful job. And so we can thank them. All the mothers out there from Black Dad Unfiltered, we want to say Happy Mother's Day. We appreciate you and we thank you. I'm Carlos V. Spencer. Y'all be blessed.